to Rough Ice Podcast, Season 1, and we're already on Episode 4. And I don't know about you guys, but it's been 94 degrees, and I am hot. So you know what? We're going to crack open a beer, and I have another special guest with me. He was captain for the 2022-2023 season for the Listowel Cyclones. So I have Jayden Steele with me. Jayden, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. Missing the sun a bit, to be honest. I was supposed to go golfing today, and the course closed because it's unplayable. So
You know what though? The weather's been pretty hot. Like where we are, it's been. I think we were in a heat wave for all week, right? So I mean, to get a little bit of rain, I'm not complaining, but man, it was sweltering. Was it not?
oh yeah, it was terrible to even be outside.
Oh, incredible. So let's get into it. So, Rough Ice Podcast, people that don't know this, Jayden, I don't know if you heard it either. I'll just give you a quick introduction, but we are a podcast out of Listowel, Ontario that focuses on the roughness of hockey. We're going to go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. We're going to talk to Jayden about his career in the Junior B, and we're going to just have fun today. So, Jayden, first of all, you're from Parry Sound, correct?
Yeah.
Bobby Orr's from Parry Sound. Did you look up to him growing up?
Not too much. I looked up to my buddy who's from here. He plays over in Finland now.
Okay.
He played for Owen Sound. Aiden Dudas. He's a pretty good hockey player, except he had more hands than anything else, so didn't look up to him in that way.
Dudas. He didn't have like a brother or cousin that played in the NHL. Wasn't there like a Dudas that played in the NHL?
I'm
like
not
Ryan,
sure.
Was it Ryan Dudas? Maybe someone was up there. He was a big fighter. I think he was back in the day.
Well, this guy's not a fighter. He's the same size as me.
Okay. Perfect. And what brought you into hockey? Like obviously being Canadian, you know, it's like a religion here in Canada, right? But
yeah.
What got you started in hockey there?
It'd be my dad probably. I think he had my brother and I on the ice when we were probably 3 or 4 skating in a backyard rink, which ended up being about 40 feet long. And you know, you just start going there. And I grew up always playing with my brother and his buddies who were a bit older than me, so I had to always stick up to my own, and I couldn't cry or else I couldn't hang out with them. So
it's funny that you say that because like that's like a normal hockey player answer, right? You know, they got the brothers that are older, you know, they're toughing them up and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite hockey team growing up?
Pittsburgh. Okay,
I think you're not a Toronto fan, so that I'm on a roll right now. So far so good.
Yeah.
But everybody that I asked has either been Boston or Edmonton or whatever, and I haven't got any Toronto guys yet, so I'm kind of knocking on wood. But that's cool. So are you? Did they just get a new head coach? I think, right? Did they not just hire somebody else now?
I'm not too sure. I haven't followed them that deep into like the team management, but I've kind of lost a bit of track of where they're at. But I was following Crosby since I was a kid, so that's where it started from.
He's getting up there. I remember when he won the gold medals for the World Juniors back, and I was like, I think I was like 19, 20 years old or whatever. But like,
yeah.
It's amazing how like it's time flies by. Like 15 years later, and still playing
crazy.
with Ovechkin, right? So
yeah.
So he was your favorite player growing up? Crosby, you know what? Everybody seems they love Crosby. Did you follow his playing style growing up to kind of adapt, or did you kind of have your own? Like what like growing up, like you played obviously in the Eastern AAA Hockey League.
Yeah.
You did that for 3 years. One was the under 16, and then you went up to the U18. What was that like growing up and playing? First of all, there, and tell me about your playing style.
That was good. I played in that same league, I think, when I was around 13 or so. But it's a good league, you know, great players come out of there. We had Quentin Byfield, we were playing against him, Tyson Forster, some skilled guys, and playing against them, you can't really outskill those two players. You kind of just had to stay with them and either try and piss one of them off and get them in the box and get their head out of the game, which that was more so my idea of trying to cover them. But yeah, it's pretty hard covering a 6'4" kid when you're 16. But I have a video from when I was a kid. I started a line brawl when they were on the ice, and I ended up with Byfield. So that was a quick size over over heart for me.
And you
That's
guys
for
don't, and you guys don't have tie downs. Like I remember, like just going back, like I was talking to other guys from the '90s, that grew up playing professional hockey in the '90s, right? And tie downs were such a big thing, but you didn't have tie downs then, so there's a lot of, I would imagine, like jerseying somebody or something like that. Was it not, Jayden?
Oh, a lot of yeah. Like as soon as one guy's jersey, like as soon as his helmet either came off or went loose, the jersey comes over and he's done. He can't do anything about it.
So
It
did you
was
win?
brutal. No, no,
No.
no.
Okay, at least you're honest.
Actually,
Go ahead.
Bobby Orr was in the rink for that. He was he was watching the game.
Wow, that's pretty good. That's cool. So, but so
Yeah,
that was obviously memorable, being in a line brawl and having fun like that, right? And then obviously after that, you moved up to the GOJHL, the Greater Ontario Junior Hockey League, for the junior B in the Midwestern division,
yeah,
for the Listowel Cyclones. So 2021, 2022 was your first year.
yeah,
That was probably, I would say, the most normal season after the pandemic.
yeah,
How did you adjust to playing to junior B? I mean, it's kind of changed over the year. Oh, hockey in the last even 20 years has changed quite a bit. It's
oh
not as
yeah,
physical anymore, and it's kind of good that I got you on here because, like I said, I had Jordan Welsh, who played for the Cyclones back in the 90s, and he went down
Mhm.
to play in the CHL and the Central Hockey League. In the 90s hockey with two-line passing, it was a more physical sport, right? Like you would see guys line somebody up, but you knew that was how it was. Like if somebody pissed off your player or your teammate there, another guy would be in there. But the style of play has changed quite a bit in the last 20 years. They got rid of two-line passing. Obviously, the game is a lot faster. Things like that. So tell me about the first year playing in the GOJHL and your generation of style and things like that.
Yeah. It wasn't too bad getting into it. We played. Sorry, the dogs are
That's
going
okay.
crazy.
Perfect. That's even better for the podcast. More raw.
We we played. I played the COVID year, so
Okay.
when we were just skating with all the guys, that wasn't too bad because I went there with Niter, who I played with for the past 3 years before joining Listowel,
Yep.
and the speed it's way quicker than playing U18 AAA. More physical for sure. There's stronger guys. The age gap, but I wish we went to visors and everything like that because I think there'd be a lot more fights and it'd be a lot more rough. But I wish. My dad's old, so I grew up playing an old style of hockey. To be honest, just you got to be rough and tough. Not much skill set. He didn't give me those genes, but no, I love Junior B. It's such a great league. I mean, I still talk to half of the guys I played with the last 2 years and still hang out with them and everything like that. And Listowel is just such a great town to be in as well to play in. And then just won the Southie and the whole town is going crazy. So
I
it
know
was really nice.
people don't realize, like, Listowel is not a very big community. It's like 7,500 people. The
Yeah.
arena holds maybe 2,500 people at most. I don't know what the official thing is, but it is cool to see a town of 7,500 people, and 2,500 sold out for
Yeah.
to see these guys, right? Like, you guys are just growing up. People don't realize that you guys don't get paid.
No.
This is all you guys are just trying to either move up in hockey or just have fun. Like it's such a fun place to play hockey. The junior B league, I think in itself is definitely makes a name for itself.
Yeah.
You have guys that come out there and like Jordan Welsh, he played pro hockey. Holden Lancic, he won the Sutherland, I believe, back when he played as well. Now he's
Yeah.
coach or he's assistant coach for the team, right? So your style of play, so he said it was a very physical game. Did you adapt to the physicality, or was you kind of already, like, were you nervous going in, or were you kind of just prepared to see what it was like?
I'd probably say the first few games I was a bit nervous. Just
Yep.
I was playing winger, and I've never played winger before in my life. I've just been a centerman, so getting the puck on the boards is a little bit scary when you got to turn around and you could have a 20-year-old OA flying down the boards at you
Yep.
and your head's down. And I mean, I'm 5'8". I'm not a very big guy, so it's a little bit scary in that context. But I played rough hockey growing up. Played with my brother and his buddies, so a little contact didn't hurt. And I think as soon as I got lit up, I think the third or second game, I was I was like, okay, that wasn't too bad. Like let's keep doing this, and obviously let's take some chances and hit some guys, hit some bigger guys. But no, the physicality wasn't too bad.
And then you went for your first year you played, and then you came back for your second season, and then you're promoted to captain. Tell me, what was that like? Was it an expectation that you want to be captain, or was it something that you didn't really know that was going to happen and it just sort of happened? Or tell me about that, like getting that promotion.
It was nice. It was really nice. Kohler had told me, I believe, the middle of the summer. He gave me a call, and he said, "This is our leadership group. This is what we're going to try and go for this year." But it was I don't know. I felt like a big brother, even though probably half of the kids are more mature than I am on that team. But just the age, I felt like a big brother, just being in that leadership role, and all these kids are 2 3 years younger than I am. So I mean, it was really nice meeting all the young guys and then seeing what they could do this year.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. It was a very proud moment for me.
Well, that's the thing. You played hockey. You grew up with a lot of these guys. Your first year coming into Listowel, right? To see them win the championship this year, and I don't think people realize that being a captain is not just what you do on the ice, but it's also off the ice, right? You're mentoring. Your community events are a big thing, right? You're trying to help out, try to get some money into the team, because a lot of people don't know that a lot of the teams here are community owned, which
Yeah,
basically means that they don't have really an owner. They get their funding is from the community, right? So without that, there wouldn't be really a hockey team. It's all volunteer, things like that, right? But so your second year as captain, um, you guys went to the first round of the playoffs and then lost to Cambridge.
yeah.
Was it 4 games? I was there, but I can't remember. Was it 4 games, or did you guys make it all the way to Game 7?
No, we went to, I believe it was 5. I think we snuck
5.
one at home. Yeah, we snuck one at home.
And it was that was a physical game. Like that,
Yeah,
playing Cambridge was a very physical game. Did you know that going in? That was going to be like the playoffs. Like I know that Junior B people don't. If the people who are listening to this and stuff, Stratford's a big physical team. You play teams like Elmira; they're a physical
yeah,
team, right? They're very in your face type of teams. But these teams like Cambridge, Stratford, Listowel, like it's very like Midwestern. I would say is very physical. It's almost like your WHL of Junior B, right? Western
yeah,
Hockey League, right? So
yeah.
did you know that going in there, that how physical it was going to be playing your game?
I knew there was going to be some tension. I mean, they were an older group, way older than we were,
Yep.
and we didn't really get along in the season. So I knew there was going to be a lot of tension during the playoff series, but it was good tension. It was fun tension. I mean, all the guys, you have to be rough in the playoffs, right? I
Yep.
mean, you're going to battle through injuries and everything like that. But no, I loved playing. I love playing physical games. I feel like it gets me more into the game, and it's kind of upset that it's leaving the game almost. Like it's not getting as physical as it used to be. But I think it's a huge part of hockey. I mean, that series was unbelievable.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like a 5 game series, to be honest.
It's like almost like you're going to war, right? You're just back and forth. You're just fighting with each other, and
Yeah,
you said that. You said that they're kind of. It's a shame that they're going away from the enforcer type of game.
yeah,
Um, what do you think of that? Like, I see the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League is they've kind of already banned hockey.
yeah,
What is your like? What's your take on that? Do you think that we should kind of go back to the physicality, the more enforcing, or obviously the game is faster. I
yeah.
respect it, right? Like I respect like how fast and the you guys could skate and the stick handling and all that stuff. But let's go back to that enforcer. What do you think of that?
It's. I mean, there's a happy medium, obviously. With I mean, everything there's a happy medium, but I think it's getting almost too far away,
Yeah,
where you're having parents go crazy over a hit, and I've seen videos of kids getting hit, and the caption is it clean or dirty, and I feel like 70% of the time it's always clean, and you always just see the ref's hand go up, but I think it should kind of start coming back. I want to say it's like clothes where you kind of you get away from the old clothes, and then there's kind of a bend and it comes right back.
yeah.
So I hope even with the pace of the game now, I do hope like more physicality gets brought in. I kind of hope we go back to getting the bigger, stronger guys, and then you got the small skill guys where there is that happy medium. But
And no, I was just gonna say back then, like when I watched hockey, what a 5-on-5 line brawl now, and I'm gonna quote this because Jordan Walsh said this, but he goes and says, I respect the game, but the 5-on-5 line brawl you would see when he played is you're lucky to get a face wash in today's game, and I
yeah,
thought that was a perfect quote because it is like that. Like I see, and I'm not just picking on the new generation, but that's kind of
yeah,
just like how it is.
yeah,
Um, when one guy goes into the boards, usually the whole team goes in to take a number. You drop the gloves, you go.
yeah,
I watch hockey nowadays, and it's the guy gets hit, but kind of people are just kind of standing around because they know they're going to get the penalty, and that's it, right? So, like, do you wish that kind of we had that 5-on-5 line brawl now? I mean, I'm not saying the fighting is the way to go, but there's that more of that discipline of if you hit somebody, you take a number, you're going to get punished for it or you
yeah.
discipline for it, right? So what's your take on that there?
It is always nice. I think we've gotten away from kind of like the team brawl, where it's more. I wouldn't say selfish, but it's more individual. Where guys are like, okay, well, we're gonna get a power play. Don't fight kind of thing. But I feel like back in the day, teams were way closer because you have those moments, right? You have a whole line brawl, and then sometimes the goalies are going, and it brings fans in. To be honest, I mean, everyone wants to see a fight. That's what half of the kids are yelling at hockey games nowadays.
Yeah. and and I think I don't know if you saw. I think it was Brantford versus maybe it was Waterloo or Cambridge. There was a goalie fight this year.
Yeah, it was Waterloo. I know the Waterloo goalie got into it. I
Oh,
think it
do
was
you?
Brand. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Brand Waterloo.
I remember watching that, and I was like, I was going back and seeing the fights and all that stuff. I'm like, it's good to see that every once in a while because it kind of brings hockey back to what the roots of it, what it was, right?
Yeah,
Um, so after that, so you're not playing hockey anymore, or are you still playing hockey, or no?
not this year. I've been looking into going down south and overseas to Australia or either Europe, but I'd love to go to Australia. I just spent a summer in Africa, and I think I got hooked on surfing, so
And it's
I'd
fun.
love to do both.
And is that the Australian Hockey League that's been making a name for itself? Is that the one that you're looking at getting at? Because I think for some reason it was weird, but I was on I don't know if it was Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and it popped up that this new Australian Hockey League is like the new big place to play. Is that the same one?
It might be. I don't know. It's the AISHL, I believe.
Okay, I think it was something like that.
Yeah, down in like Melbourne, Sydney. You got it's basically just on the southeast border of Australia almost.
Okay,
Yeah, that's
and no, I was just gonna say a bunch of Canadians go there.
oh yeah, yeah.
Okay,
I've looked at like some of the players on the teams, and it seems like after they're done like their junior career or they played at OUA and stuff like that, they play somewhere else and then they go down there. Like I want to say the average age of the Canadians down there are probably 32.
really?
Like
Okay, so
yeah,
they're older.
yeah, oh yeah.
So it's almost like that. You're just your, I guess I wouldn't say retirement, but it's almost like your, retirement. I mean, why not? Why not go to Australia to play hockey and
Yeah,
go? You would leave the arena and you could go and sip a pina colada at the beach, right? So
yeah. No,
no,
it'd be
that's pretty
super.
cool.
Yeah.
So, have you talked to any team? I mean, if you don't want to say it, I totally get it. Have you talked to any teams, or were you just kind of just scouting
Um,
it out to see what it's like?
I've lightly kind of brushed the surface of contacting some teams. I still gotta talk to Peyton about it to see what
Oh yeah,
she wants to do, but
yep.
I think she would be in. So I
I
think
say
it,
do
it
it.
might be a year or two before. I mean, visas and stuff are pretty complicated, but that is a place I would like to play.
Did you, growing up, did you watch any other leagues besides the NHL? Like, is there something that you always geared yourself, like whether it's ECHL or, Junior A, like Major Junior A, I'm saying, like, the Rangers or whatever. Did you ever watch any other hockey besides just the NHL that you really want to cater towards?
Yeah, it was always that was always it's every kid's dream, right? And that's always the number one goal. And I don't really think I watched any other leagues. I remember watching the KHL a bit, but
Yep, yep.
I don't think I would go over there.
No,
You're
and
parties.
it's great. It's funny because a lot of guys that I talk to don't really know any, like they grow up watching, you grow up playing Canadian hockey, right? So it's either, junior B or junior A or major junior A or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
you know the teams like Kitchener Rangers and London Knights, or
Oh
the
yeah.
Listowel Cyclones or whatever, right? And some guys, they read, and even back then it was the old newspaper, and they say like WPHL, like what the heck is that, right? Western Provincial Hockey League. Who's playing hockey in New Mexico or whatever, right? Like who's going
Yeah.
to these places, right? And then you show up, and there's, there could be 5,000, 10,000 fans at this,
Yeah.
this little place, right? So you said you watch KHL. KHL hockey is Russian hockey, which is, if people that are new to hockey or whatever, the KHL and the NHL. NHL is usually it's the number one. It's considered that everybody wants to go there. The KHL hockey is very good. Like it's
Oh
right
yeah.
under the NHL. I think Russian hockey might be a little more physical. I could be wrong, but I think it's I think it's a little more physical, but they're a little more strict. Like everybody wears visors, I believe, and
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it seems like watching clips, it seems like they're a bit more physical. I
Yep.
don't know if that's just how they were brought up and that's how they were brought up to play hockey, but it does seem like it's a lot more physical over there than in the NHL. I don't know if they get less social media going through there, but it
No, I
looks
think
pretty great.
from what I understand, and this is just I was watching a documentary, and it was the Summit series of '76 or '78. I'm going to get shot for this probably, but as a Canadian, I should know this. I know, but it was a Summit series of like '77 or '72. It was in the '70s. We know that for sure. And
Yeah.
it was Soviet Union versus Canada, right? And you say the physicality might be different. That's how they brought up, but I don't know if you knew this or not, but I think it was Phil Esposito um, said this, and you have to go and look at the documentary. It's on YouTube, but he goes and says when they played the Soviet Union, the NHL was very physical. The Canadians were a very physical team, but the Russians, on the other hand, they played a more finesse game.
Mm-hmm.
So the Canadians had to really adjust because they weren't used to, and the same with the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union wasn't used to the physicality the Canadians brought, but vice
Yeah.
versa. The Canadians weren't used to the finesse that the Russians brought, right? But I
Yeah.
think they all integrate now. Like don't forget, hockey back in the Soviet Union was the Iron Curtain. Nobody really knew things, what was going on and stuff, right?
Yeah.
The going back even, you look at the Edmonton Florida series. That's a pretty physical series this year, right, for playoffs.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm enjoying watching that. I had Florida in 5. I want Edmonton to win, but I was like I don't think Edmonton's that deep, and here we are, Game 7 tomorrow. So
I think
clearly,
90% of the people I talked to said the same thing. 90% of
yeah,
people said, I said the same thing. I said Florida 5. I'll give them 5 games. Let Edmonton win the one, right? And it'll go back, and Florida's going to win it, and they'll be at Paul Maurice will get his Stanley Cup and stuff. Here we
yeah.
are going into Game 7 on Monday. You got Edmonton versus Florida. What's your prediction?
I'm gonna have to roll with Edmonton, unfortunately.
No, I think I'm the
um,
same way. I'm the same way.
yeah, I just think they have so much momentum coming in now, and they completely flipped the script. I mean, it's almost harder for Florida to lose 3 games straight instead of just win the one, right? So I think I'm gonna have to go with Edmonton. And being a Canadian team, we haven't had one win in I don't even know how many years. I think is
1993 was the last Stanley Cup for Canada, and that's from
yeah.
Montreal. Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have the cup back in Canada. I know it comes back with the players from other teams, but it would be nice to see a Canadian team win it.
No, it would. I would say, especially if you look back at what was it, Game 3 or 4, I forget now, where they won like 8-1.
I think it was, yeah, it was either 4. I believe it was 4. It was one
Yeah,
of the first 2 wins that they got.
correct. I think it was like an 8-1, which shocked everybody. Then the next game they won 4-3, which I believe was Game 5, and then
Yeah,
Game 6 they won 5-1. So
yeah,
I mean, you're right. I think mentally, I think the players are in the head of Florida, right? Like how am I going to come back? Here we are, and Bobrovsky from Florida. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic goalie, right? I mean, you look at his goals or his average, right? and all season, like all year, it's been fantastic. And the poor guy, these last few games,
Yeah.
he's been letting all, and it's like you should not. He's a fantastic goalie, right? Like this should not reflect on who he is. Like I get it,
No.
right? But I mean, but you're right though. I think Edmonton's gonna get it. I originally said that I thought last night's game or Friday night's game was going to overtime. I thought it was going to be an overtime game.
Yeah.
And then I thought I was going to say Monday was going to be an overtime game. I thought it was triple overtime, but who knows what's going to happen now? I mean, Edmonton, all they need is that one goal, and they could play a shorthanded game, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
They're more deep. They're deeper than I thought they were. I mean, they got guys from the third line scoring huge goals in these games, right?
yep,
I think they did kind of get into Bob's head a bit. Game 4
yeah,
when they put up 5 or whatever they put on him, and I think he's slowly climbing back from that. But holy, he kind of just helped Florida. He's the backbone of Florida in that whole playoff run, right?
yep. So as a player yourself, how do you, let's say you're going into this game 7. Let's put you in a player position of the NHL. We'll put you on the Edmonton team, being Canadian and stuff. Mentally, how do you prepare to going into Game 7? Like, you play playoffs and stuff. So how do you prepare mentally going into a game like this?
I wouldn't say I'm a superstitious guy. I've seen a lot more guys do a lot more routine things. But I would keep a few things the same. Meal the night before, breakfast of, and mentally, I'm probably thinking no regrets, right? I
Yeah,
mean, you have that. I had that in the last game of my junior career. I was like, it doesn't matter what happens, just go out there and give it 110%. And you can't really be upset with your. I mean, you can't control others, right? It's a huge
right.
hockey team game, but I'd probably go out there and just hopefully give a hit the first shift or take one and just get the feet moving from there. Probably, I would imagine McDavid's is a little bit different than mine, but yeah, I think I would probably just try and get some body contact in within the first shift or two.
And it's funny because there's always that pregame ritual, right? I mean, you look at going, Connor McDavid. He washes his beard every game, right? You
Yeah,
see that, right? He squirts his mouth. His beard is washed.
yeah,
That's like his thing. I know Jordan Alexander, when he was in Listowel there, he had socks that I think there were more holes. I don't know how he put them on, but that was his focus, was rituals like that, right?
yeah,
Um, you got pregame naps that guys do, or you said
yeah,
going back to the same meal. Fitness wise, it's changed also over the years. You know, I think a lot of guys now take their physical or their fitness style a lot more serious than it was even 20 or 30 years ago.
yeah.
I was talking to a guy named Sly Nod, who played for the Tulsa Oilers, and he played in the Quebec Major Juniors, won the championship with Laval Titans. And
Oh
he
yeah,
said, and he goes, and he was laughing because when we were having the conversation, he said, "Oh, we didn't have physical. Like we went to the bar after, had some beers. Like there was
yeah.
none of this, fitness thing. Like we did weights and stuff, but it wasn't as what it is today. So for you, what was that? What is it like now as a player? For kids that are listening to this and they want to move up in hockey, go to like a kind of like a give us kind of an idea of like what a summertime or like an off ice workout routine is usually like.
So I worked out at Mind to Muscle in Barrie with a few guys that I played in Barrie with,
Yep.
and we would work out Monday to Friday. It would be about 2 hour workout, and we have different days. They do a great job there. They'll ask you what previous injuries you have, so they either want to strengthen or not work on that spot as much, but you get there, you warm up for probably 20, 30 minutes. You're either playing sewer and then you're doing stretches down the track. And then you get into all of these small muscle groups. I've noticed you're doing a lot more like band exercises and your
Okay.
own body weight just in
Yep.
these kind of odd almost positions. But we'd work. I mean, you're still doing weights. Obviously, you want to grow muscle and endurance in that way. But it's I've noticed so much more bands. Like for your shoulders, there's 600,000 workouts you can do to gain strength in every single little muscle in your shoulder and your arm. And and they do a great recovery too. Like recovery's huge nowadays. I know some days you just kind of want to hop in a hot tub and have a few beers, but cold tubs, hot
Yep.
tubs, they got. I was texting Brenner the other day, and he had the ice or massage things on his legs, and he was just sitting there. So there's a lot more that goes into the recovery and the training process now, and you got just so much technology involved, and it's actually it's phenomenal. It is phenomenal seeing it.
And there's what's it called? Is it I'm gonna say this wrong, but it's the one where they put you not an ice bath, but it's like dry ice and they wrap your body around it, so you're only your head I think is sticking out. It's like a cryo or something like that, or
Yeah, the cryotherapy or something like that, and
yeah,
I
like
think
that.
I think that's what Brenner was doing, and that's crazy. I never
Like,
would have thought it would come to that.
but you're right though. The recovery time nowadays is it's 10 times better than what it was back in the day, right? I think
Yeah,
technology and things like that. And let's get to that technology aspect of it. Um, obviously, I kind of grew up in an era where I didn't have internet for the first 5 years because we didn't know what internet was. It was
yeah,
non-existent, right? And players, growing in that era, the '90s, early 2000s, there was no social media like Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, all that stuff, TikTok or whatever, right? As a player, do you find it a little bit, I wouldn't say easier, but do you think do you think the social media aspect of finding a team or even looking at other teams, like if you want to go to, let's say, the ECHL or Australia or England or wherever you want to go in Europe or whatever, has that been such a beneficial part of today's game versus what it was 20 years ago of looking at newspaper? Or has it kind of been like, oh, okay, whatever, it's just another thing to add to my life?
I'd probably say it's gotten a lot easier to contact teams and to stay in
Yep.
touch with them. And like we had when we were playing minor midget, we had guys making clips, so they're
Okay.
sending clips to junior teams. Like they just make highlight clips throughout the season.
Right.
And of course, obviously, not going to put a bad clip in there, but
Yeah, 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 yeah.
it's a lot easier in the way of just contacting, getting your name out there, and even teams can do the same with you, right? I mean,
Yep.
they can search up your name on Elite Prospects or Hockey DB, and there are all your stats and everything like that. Like it's a lot easier to get into a team or even just an organization that way.
Yep.
But I think it's gotten worse with like top prospects where you're scrolling Instagram and there's your name coming
Okay.
up. Like Bedard's probably having a tough time. I don't know how he's doing it, but in that way, I think it's gotten not as good because you got people just either chirping you or sending death threats to some of these high prospects. But I think contacting teams, it's gotten a lot better. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was just curious because it's just the way, it's changed so much now, right? I mean, like back then, right? Like I said, you had to print out a resume or you had to find somebody and play in front of somebody. They'd recruit you, or you
Yeah.
say, hey, I know somebody that plays. I play, down south or whatever. Why don't you come and join me? You get to contact the coach, right? But nowadays, like you said, you just go on your phone. You could just, type a quick Instagram, private message and be like, hey, this is who I am, or even like some of the media companies that follow Junior B, like they're fantastic. I think it's 509
Yeah.
Sports. Like they keep it on. Like every time there's a game, they got highlights going on. Like I think they said that thing hit like 80,000 views or something like that. It was something
Oh,
crazy.
really?
Oh, it was nuts, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's cool. I mean, like like I think it's in today's world, like there's so much opportunity to I could go online now and I could just pay for something like Flow Hockey. I think is what the new one is now, and I
Yeah.
could go and watch any sport around the world, right? I could see you
Yeah.
guys play when you guys play Junior B or whatever. Um, so as a player, what's the craziest? So again, this is rough ice, so I want to know more the dirty side of things. What besides a line brawl, has there anything been crazy like a fight in the stands or anything like that? Like, what's the craziest memory? Doesn't have to be Junior B, could be any time of your career. What was the craziest thing that's ever happened to you on the ice
Um,
or off
it,
the ice,
there's
if
yeah,
you want to say it?
there's been two that have happened off the ice.
Okay.
Both obviously starting on the ice,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it was both times. I think I would have been 18, no,
Okay.
17, playing for North Central,
Okay.
and the one game we were playing, I think it was Niagara, and we were up one goal, and both these games are in tournaments, so we're not supposed to win each of these games. So we're up a goal, and I remember I was just sitting on the puck, and I got 5 guys jabbing away at me at the boards trying to get the puck, and the whistle goes, and some players are kind of going at it, and this big bulky ref, he comes over and he grabs one of their players and he's trying to like pull him away, and that player's trying to get off of the ref, and so they're kind of just shoving hands at each other, and then the ref he like flipped him. He threw him right on the ice, and the parents are going crazy, and we were leaving, going back to the hotel, and walking through the parking lot, and we're like, why are there's 2 police cars here, like what's going on?
Wow.
So we get back to the hotel, and the parents are having some drinks just in a room, and all the kids are kind of walking past, and a few of us sneak in, and we're like, what happened with the cop cars? And turns out the parent of that kid punched a ref as soon as he came out.
That's very serious.
This ref comes out of the change room. I mean, just he's clocking out, right? And he's going back home, and he just gets sucker punched by a parent.
Wow.
It turned out being the ref from the other side, because there were 2 pads. It wasn't even the right ref from the right game. So he just punched this random ref from the other game. Yeah.
That you think that you would kind of know who the ref is before you do that. We're not saying I'm not saying that you should do it, but I mean,
Yeah.
like, don't be an idiot, right? Like,
no, exactly. And I want to say the age gap between the 2 refs was probably 15 years. Like it was a noticeable age gap. The one was a bit older that threw this kid, and the other one that got punched was probably early 30s, late 20s.
I couldn't imagine being a hockey ref like that.
No.
I mean, hats off to them, because like what they have to contend with. They're the ones that they have to do the penalties and the goals and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they make one mistake, and it's the world is over.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to harp on Toronto fans, but I always see it all the time where, every time they're out, the first series or whatever, it's, the refs, the refs.
Yeah.
It's like, never to do with the team, but it's always about the refs, right?
Yeah.
That is crazy. Like, I was not expecting you to say something like that. What's the other time then?
The other time we were playing again another good team down from the GTHL, and I had reverse hit a kid. I think it was 0-0 in the game at this time.
Yep.
And I reverse hit him, so we're both going in for the puck, and obviously I wanted just to get a jump on the positioning, and I pop him, and we're going down, and the ref blows the whistle, and I was like, what's going on? And I turn around, and this kid's just knocked out cold on the ice.
Wow.
So they didn't really like that, the whole team. So the rest of the game was I was just getting bullied around the ice, but it wasn't bad. And we finished the game, and I'm going to get the sticks just to bring them back to the room. And I get into where the tunnel is, just under all the stands and the stairs there.
Yep.
And both of our teams are just standing face to face. They're just screaming at each other. So we had to get the police to come down to the rooms and not escort us, but make sure that nothing happened in the hallway down there. And yeah, we had to get, I think we got my one buddy's dad, who was 6'6", like 300 pounds. He's a big boy. So he walked out with the 2 of us, which was nice having that. But yeah, there's some tournaments where it's not the parents and it's just the kids. But I want to say the refs probably get harped from the parents 80% of the time nowadays.
Oh yeah.
There's some parents out there that are taking it way too seriously, right?
And that's the thing. Like, I mean, like, I don't know what the statistic is, but I think it's like, was it like 1 or 2 kids from Ontario alone make the NHL every year or something like that? Like, it's very low, right? People don't realize that, like, you're statistically speaking, you're not gonna make. I mean, I never made the NHL. I mean, I never played professional, or I never made anything, right? I played travel house league hockey. That was it, right? My mind was never going to be like the next Wayne Gretzky, because I know I couldn't shoot, right? But going back to the refs, it's funny. Did you see that video where was a Russian ref got into a fight with a player? Did you see that?
Oh yeah,
right.
He took off his helmet. yeah.
Like, that's one place I would not want to mess with the referees, Russia, because you're going to get just decked, right?
Yeah, and it's so funny. The player comes over, and I don't know if he hit him or if he slashed him.
I forget what it was. I just remember
And
the ref just took off his
he
bucket.
just kind of stood up nonchalantly and just went,
Yeah.
and they just started throwing. It was awesome. It
I
was
think I've seen like 4 or 5 videos of like Russia fights over the course of my
oh yeah.
years, right? Where it's like the ref or something like that, right? A few more questions before we wrap her up. So you want to go to? So what would you say? Okay, here let's do this. Advice for kids that are listening now. Do you have any like advice that you would say for a hockey kid that's coming in?
It's probably going to be the same advice that my brother's buddies gave me, and where it's, I mean, enjoy the moments that you're playing in. Always have fun, and time does fly. I mean, my junior career went by faster than I could even think of. But yeah, there's always like just fun. Just have fun, and if you're not having fun, stop playing.
Yep.
If you're not enjoying it, stop doing it. I mean, that's how I work jobs the same way. If I'm not having a good time, I'm leaving. But yeah, it's always more so put yourself first and your well being than the sport itself. Don't let it kind of suck you into this vortex. But fun is probably my number one, I would say.
And
Yeah.
favorite memory? Do you have a favorite memory in your whole entire time playing hockey?
There's probably a few I got. One of them would have been playing Double A in Barrie, and I think our team went 58-8-8.
Wow.
We were a crazy team, and we won International Silver Stick, which was pretty cool, and then we won OMHAs right after it, which I still got the ring. I've never worn the ring out anywhere. I've just put it on in the house, and it just sits in this little box. But I'd say that year was probably the most memorable year of hockey I've played.
Wow. And well, you know what? Good for you. Just keep it in its box. I mean, I think if I want a ring, I don't think I'd be taking it out anywhere because, if I want to wash my hands, I take it off and I forget it, and I'm like, okay, that's it. Like I'd never let myself live it up again.
Yeah, and he got Lanny wearing it to the playoff games for good luck. Yeah, I've done that. Actually, I did that once. I wore it out to a game that my buddy was playing. He was playing in the OMHA final, so I wore it to that game. They lost, so stayed in the box.
Hey, you know what though? At least you have things that you go look back on 40, 50 years from now.
Yeah.
If you have kids or not, or friends or that have kids, you could go and say, hey, look what I won when I was growing up, right? Like,
yeah.
Or look what I played. You have those memories that I think a lot of people don't realize. Like I said, the sport has changed so much, like from when I was growing up watching hockey to what it is now. When I didn't realize, like I shouldn't say I didn't realize, but watching you guys play junior B, people don't realize it's good hockey. Like
it is, yeah.
It's very good hockey. You guys, like you, Jayden, and all the players, hats off to you guys. You guys have always been, very respectful and always saying hi to the fans, or when we, thank you for our meals or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's good hockey, but it's good to see good kids growing up, going through the sport still. There's nothing bad to say. Like it's nice to see that. And like Listowel, like I said, it's just small town.
yeah.
It's, if you've seen the show Letterkenny, it's probably exactly like Letterkenny.
Yeah.
But well, that's cool. Well, Jayden, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I hopefully, I didn't scare you off too much asking for this podcast or whatever.
No.
But no, I'm
not at all.
I'm glad that you joined us here. Quick question. So before I let you go, is Edmonton, that's their final answer? So like I could start razzing you if Florida wins or something like that on Monday here.
Oh yeah. You can shoot me a DM or video if you want. I'm gonna call it now. I got Edmonton probably 4-2 with an empty netter. I think that's what I'm going with.
All right, 4-2 empty netter. All right, so we have that on video. I know it's going to be probably a couple of weeks late, but just remember, Jayden, it's been fun. Thanks for joining me, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. Thanks for listening to the Rough Ice podcast. Our next guest after this episode is going to be Doug Lawrence, who was the assistant captain for the Tulsa Oilers. But Jayden, it's been fun. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you very much for having me.
No problem.